Today on Monson Made This, I am cleaning out the fridge. So today is going to be slightly different, which I feel like I say that at the beginning of every video recently because I keep doing different things, so I don't know what the normal even is. But anyways, as I said in the intro, I'm going to be cleaning out the fridge. I've got to clean house today. Ben and I have guests coming next week for the holidays, so we're going to do a whole house cleanse, and part of that cleanse is cleaning out the fridge because there's a bunch of odds and ends and stuff in there that I need to deal with. So, lightly inspired by a hot for food recipe, I'm going to be going through my fridge, pulling out some things that I need to use and making a recipe for you. And if it's great, I'll have the recipe link posted below, which it will be because I'm pretty confident. Just made myself blush there. So, yeah, stick around and I'll start pulling things out of my fridge and we'll make something delicious out of whatever I have in there. So, let's start pulling. So I'm just going to start pulling some things out of here. I know for a fact that the zucchini here is what I want to use most of all because this is going to go bad first. And I kind of had an idea of what's in here, and I think I want to do maybe a zucchini boat type thing. I do have some soaked cashews, so I think I want to use this to make some sort of binder sauce with. I do have a bit of tofu that's still, I don't know, I think it's still good. It's been in this jar for a little while. And a half block of tempeh that has already been steamed. So I think I want to use those as the things, as kind of the interior of these zucchini boats. I also have some tempeh that I made. And, not tempeh, sorry, seitan that I made. So in case I need a little bit more bulk, I might use that. Have a little bit of pumpkin seed parmesan. Not too much there, but I'll probably use that to sprinkle on top. I think I want to do a sausage kind of flavor. I don't have any onion, but I think maybe some apple would be good to add in there for a little sweetness to the sausage and to add a bit of crunch. So pull that out also. I do have some bread that I need to use. I might use this as the breadcrumb kind of coating on top. There's other things that I have some beans in here, some Brussels sprouts. I don't really see those necessarily working in this. Some fresh thyme, I think I'll use that. Do have some homemade vegan butter. I think I'll use this to brown whatever it is that I put in there, the mixture. I think that's good for right now. I might find some other things in there that I need along the way, but I think this is a good start, and it, makes a pretty decent dent in the fridge. So, all right, let's start chopping and prepping. I want to formulate a bit of a strategy here. So the soaked cashews I said are going to be used for sort of a ranchy type sauce binder. So I'm just going to put that aside. I'll blend that up while the kind of sausagey crumble portion is browning. This is just some, like I said, vegan butter that I made, so I'll set that by the stove. I'm going to be breaking up the tempeh. I think I will use some of this seitan and some of this tofu that'll go inside the zucchini. It's going to be sliced in half and then sort of cored out, and that's where all the ingredients are going to go, and these will be baked, so I'll set these aside. And this is for the top. So basically, the bread, this is going to be turned into breadcrumbs. I'll do that while stuff's browning also. So pretty much I'm going to just start breaking this stuff down, put it into a pan, and then start browning it up and seasoning it. As I said, this is already cooked. I boiled it for about 20 minutes. That just removes a little bit of the bitterness. So I'm just going to crumble this in here. And I'm going to do the same thing with this tofu. Still smells good. This is just a block of, I think, extra firm tofu. Just finishing crumbling up this tofu in here. And then I think I'm going to just throw this on the stove at this point so it can start browning while I cut up the seitan and the apple. So let's throw this on the stove. As I said too, that I'm going to be using a little bit of this vegan butter. I followed the Miyoko's recipe from Homemade Vegan Pantry. It's about a teaspoon or so in there, just to add a little flavor, add a little crispiness. All right, so the apple and the seitan I'm gonna cut up fairly small. I want it to be about the same size as those. If you just had one, or if you just had tofu, or if you just had tempeh, or if you just had seitan, that would probably work, but because I had all three and I'm trying to use them up, I'm just kind of blending it all together, so. It's probably good. This seitan, by the way, I made in a bread maker. I bought a bread maker at a thrift store the other day for $2. And Jackie from Vegan Yak Attack is like, oh my God, now you can make seitan. And I wasn't the biggest fan of seitan. I was sort of over it. It always tasted just like gluten. But she showed me a recipe to make seitan in a bread maker, and I made it, and it was like life-changing. It doesn't have that weird like gluten flavor, and it's completely changed my mind about seitan, so I think it would be perfect in this. Just little cubes. As far as the apple, I'm not going to use a ton, probably just like this much of the apple. The rest I'll give to the pups. So I basically just took that slice off the side and then cutting it up into little squares. To the tofu and tempeh, I'm adding the seitan and the apple. And I'm just gonna stir this up a bit, and then I'm gonna start to season it. Like I've been saying, I'm going for like a sausage seasoning, so I think I'm going to do like some sage, a little bit of fennel, which really sells that kind of like breakfast sausage flavor, garlic powder, onion powder, probably some paprika, and some Bragg's liquid aminos for a little bit like of a meatiness. Looks like a good little mix I've got here. I just want to get it browned up, and let's season it up. I pulled out a bunch of seasonings from my drawer, and I'm just going to kind of add them in, taste it, and see if it tastes like sausage. So I'm going to start with fennel, not too much, probably just like maybe like a half teaspoon worth. Have some sage, again probably just about like a half teaspoon. Smoked paprika, about the same amount. Onion powder, garlic powder. And if this all works out, I mean, you could definitely use this with any of your favorite vegan sausages. I think the Beyond is my favorite. And I do have the fresh thyme I had mentioned earlier, so I'm gonna put a little bit of that in there. So I've added some fennel, garlic powder, onion powder, smoked paprika, some red pepper flake, some sage, and a little bit of the Bragg's 24 herb seasoning. So I'm just going to mix this up here, and then I'm going to add a few dashes of Bragg's liquid aminos in just a moment. I haven't added the Bragg's just yet, but I want to give it a bit of a taste just to kind of see how my seasoning blend is going. It's pretty good. Obviously it needs salt, so let me go ahead and add the Bragg's right now, and that'll help me evaluate the flavor a little bit better. Probably putting just about a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons worth. This is going to add some color as well as the saltiness. I'm going to give it another taste. I think it's really good. I think I might add maybe just a little bit more of each of the seasonings just to bring flavors out a bit more, but saltiness is great with the Bragg's liquid aminos. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Just, I think it can be hyped up a little bit more, so let me just add some more seasonings. And the last is the paprika. I think my sausagey mixture is pretty done. It's got some nice color, the texture is great, the flavor is delicious. It doesn't taste exactly like you don't bite it and you're like, oh my God, sausage, but it has that essence. Definitely the fennel and the sage sell that. And the apple adds just a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of texture. I'm kind of happy with the way the mixture looks. It actually looks a little bit more like Thanksgiving stuffing, but I'm okay with that. So I'm just gonna let this hang out on the back here. And I know I said I was gonna make the dressing and other stuff while this was working, but this took a little bit more of my attention. So now I'm gonna make the ranch sauce that's going to be kind of the binder to hold this all together. And I'm also gonna toast up some of the bread to use as breadcrumbs. So let's get the bullet out. I went ahead and drained my cashews and added just enough water in this NutriBullet here to cover them up. I want this to be a fairly thick, ranchy sauce. Again, it's more of just like a binder. I'm gonna eyeball my seasonings here. It's some garlic powder, lots of onion powder, and I've made a few different ranch dressings on this channel, and I'm just kind of merging those recipes in my head and throwing this out here. That was some dill. I'm gonna add just a tiny little bit of celery seed here, some nutritional yeast. Let's just put it on there. It's not gonna be too cheesy. It's gonna be just more like a help with the umami. Splash of apple cider vinegar. And then the ingredient, other than the onion powder that I think really sells the ranch flavor, some parsley flake here. That looks good. I'll of course taste it to see, oh, it needs salt. I'll of course taste it to see if the seasonings are right. Let's put just a pinch of salt and some black pepper. Might also be a little bit too thick, so we'll test that out as well. All right, let's blend. Let's give it a quick taste. Texture looks pretty good. Like I said, I wanted it fairly thick. Not bad, definitely need some more salt. I think I might actually add some liquid aminos in there as the salt. But otherwise, I think my ratios are pretty solid. Give it another taste. There it is. Okay. This is gonna go into that sausagey mixture in just a bit, but next thing I wanna do is toast up that bread, get that turned into some breadcrumbs, and then we'll slice up the zucchini and bake it off and hope that it's delicious. So yeah, let's do some bread. Now it's time to slice up the bread. Whenever I buy bread, I usually save the bags from it so that when I make my own bread, I have bags that I can keep them in. So this is just a little bit of the end of a 2-pound loaf from my bread maker. And I'm just gonna slice this into thinnish slices this way. I think it'll toast up a little bit faster. And I'm gonna toast it up maybe a little bit more than normal, and more than you would like a normal piece of toast, and then let it sit for a bit to dry out so that I can pop it in the food processor and turn it into crumbs, and I'll probably season it up in there as well. Maybe a little bit of olive oil and maybe some Italian seasoning, so more of like an Italian breadcrumb. So, all right, I'm gonna pop these into the toaster oven and just let them toast. I'm going to use the time while the bread toasts to prepare my zucchini. I have 2 of them here, and I'm just going to slice them lengthwise, hopefully as even as possible. I don't know why that seems so difficult. So I'm going to slice them both lengthwise. That one's a little bit thin. And then what I'm going to do here with this spoon is just remove the seeds. I I have my zucchini all hollowed out, and you want to keep maybe about like a 1/4 inch, maybe a little less than a 1/4 inch edge around the whole thing. I guess I could have added some of this to the mix if I had done this before, but probably just compost it or maybe add it to like a smoothie. Or actually, you know what, I can put it into like a cream sauce. That would work. I'll compost it. Anyway, so these are done. The bread is toasted and pretty dried out, so I'm gonna pull out the food processor, blitz that a little bit, and then we're ready to assemble. We'll mix the ranch with the sausage, put it all in these boats, throw it in the oven, and we should have a delicious meal. So let's make some crumbs. In here, I have the bread that's toasted and it's cooled. Hopefully it's dried out enough all the way through. And like I said, I had this pumpkin seed parmesan, which is a vegan yak attack recipe for, I think, sunflower seed parm. I just used pumpkin seeds instead. I'm just gonna throw that in there. A little bit of salt, because I know that parm is fairly salty. Put in probably about a teaspoon or so of Italian seasoning. And then for the fat in here, because I do want to help the top brown, I'm going to add just a bit of that vegan butter that I used earlier. Let's pulse it and hope we get some crumbs. Let's check it out. I'm not too concerned about there being some like maybe larger chunks. That actually will be pretty good for the texture on top. Kind of has like a panko-y texture. Seasoned really well. Actually has a bit of a nice chew to it. So, all right, well, these are done. Let's start assembling. We are ready to assemble. I actually preheated my oven to 375 convection, so that's about like 400 without convection. And I'm gonna start stirring this ranch into this sausagey mixture, which I can't stop snacking on because it's so good. I made about a cup of ranch dressing here, and I'm gonna just kind of eyeball it and see how much I actually need here. I want it to make the mixture stick together. So this recipe it was sort of like in my head is like sausage stars, and I can't remember if I made a recipe actually on this channel for sausage stars or if I wanted to, but it's like a classic kind of potluck recipe where you use wonton wrappers and sausage and ranch dressing and cheese, and you make these little like wonton cups full of sausage and ranch and cheese, and they're next level. So that flavor idea is what was in my head as I was picturing how I wanted to make this dish. So hopefully I get those flavors. As you can see here, this mixture is sticking together, which is exactly what I want, so that I can pile it into the zucchinis. And I'm actually going to give it a bit of a taste, just to double check before I finish the assembly. That's really good. All right, let's fill. Let's fill these up. I thought I was going to have a lot more of this mixture, but it looks like I'm going to have probably just enough to fill these four. And you do want them to be slightly piled up on top there. Time for the breadcrumbs. So these are all stuffed, and I'm going to sprinkle these with the breadcrumbs. I'm also going to press in a little bit just so I can make sure that it gets fully coated. I really do love that there's some chunks left in here. Chunk's not the most appetizing word, but having those little bits of bread are just going to add like a nice crispiness and even have a slight chewy center in them still. So just a really nice texture crust that'll go on top. The breadcrumbs are applied. It's time to just put them onto my baking sheet, and then they're gonna go into the oven for probably about 20-25 minutes. And they're done when they're golden brown on top. I'm excited. 25 minutes is up, and these are ready to come out. Beautiful golden brown. I actually ended up bringing the temperature down to 350 on convection because I noticed they were like starting to brown really quickly. So they were in there for 25 minutes at 350. The last couple minutes I turned up the heat to about like 360 just to, I don't know what, but testing them, I can feel that they're just a little bit softened. They're still got some texture, they're not falling apart, but the zucchini has cooked down a little bit and these are nice and golden brown on top. So I'm just gonna set this back here and then grab one and I'll do a taste test for you. Oh, it smells so good. All right, let's give this thing a taste. I'm actually really excited. I have some of the reserved ranch dressing on the side just in case it's a little bit dry, but I think the moisture from the zucchini, I think it's gonna be pretty good. So let's cut into it. Zucchini still has a lot of nice texture. Not sure if maybe I should have gone maybe 5 more minutes. Well, I probably should wait a second before giving it a taste. It's super steamy. Well, actually, while I wait for it to cool a moment, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do so. It's growing really well and I'm loving doing this content. So the more subscribers, the more drive I have to continue. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of these kind of like cooking from the hip or kind of cooking with what I have on hand, please definitely let me know in the comments below, because this is sort of how I cook regularly. I just kind of go in the kitchen, see what I have and make something out of it. And I kind of like sharing that with you. So yeah, if you do like this style of video, definitely comment below. Let me cut a little bit off of this. All right, let's give it a taste. Oh, wow. That's incredible. Has such a perfect sausage flavor. Seasoned really well. Also the texture of all the ingredients. It's crunchy, it's chewy, it's savory. It's got the nice breadcrumb crispiness, and then the zucchini itself, I actually think it's cooked perfectly. A little bit al dente, but you know, it's not mushy and falls apart. Everything, all the components on their own have like just really solid texture. You could make this gluten-free if you use gluten-free breadcrumbs. You could make it oil-free if you didn't use any of the vegan butter. It's pretty much the only thing in it that, if you have any other restrictions, this could be a super healthy dish. So I can't wait to finish this. This is delicious. It would also be a really good dish to serve like Thanksgiving or to bring to a party. This would be really great, just room temperature, as well as it'll hold really nicely, I think. So like I said, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Share these videos with your friends, family, loved ones. You can see how easy it is to be vegan. And once you have a nice, well-stocked vegan pantry or vegan kitchen, you can pretty much throw anything together. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time with another video.